Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to put together the final page of my mushrooms. So the mossy floor needs to be created. This is all connected to that Roxy Creations project we're all participating in. So what did I do last night? I finished off my two little mushrooms that you saw yesterday. And then I thought I need a bigger one. So this morning I created the top. Now I just need to put a few little bits and pieces here on the bottom. The background, while I sew that or stitch that into position, the background, I've been thinking and thinking about this background. If anything, the background's been the hardest part for me. I want that plain, crisp look was what I decided in the end. Now I tossed around using this background. Hang on one moment. This one here. I made it ages ago out of leftover fabrics when I was on a cruise and I'd finished the project that I'd taken, so this just got stitched. I've picked it up so many times, and this particular panel, this double page spread, it's too small, so I would need to extend it, which is not an issue. And literally all day yesterday these guys sat on there and they just, I loved it. I love the texture, but I just really like the crispness of this. So that little guy's been put aside, and then of course we've got the new prompt, winter berries, and I thought, well, maybe this could become winter berries. So it's still in play. So I came back to this piece of linen that I tore down to size. So back to the original plan. Oh, you can't believe how much hooing and hawing I've been thinking about all this. I did a lot of housework, and the whole time I was just thinking about my background. The mushrooms, I feel like no problems, we've got them sorted. The mossy ground, no problems, that'll all come together. It's going to be a very glamorous mossy forest floor, but it's the background. So I thought this morning when I looked at the piece again, just keep it crisp. So you'll notice at the top edge here, that doily fell out of a basket of scrappy bits there, and then I found that one. It's quite light and lacy, and I thought we might bring that in the top there, and then that is featured. Let me zoom in, it's so bright. Can you see the definition I'm getting around the top of the piece? Soft, floaty, ethereal, and now the mushrooms can come in and then we can have quite a heavy base. So let me just go back up. So that's the plan. I feel like I got a plan. I've woken up with a plan. So the last thing I needed to do was just stitch this on. A little something across the bottom of this little guy. Got a little bit of netting left here. The other thing I've done is I've got my napkin. I didn't show you guys because you've been seeing me do this right through the whole series, is using some form of paper element to get that, you know, a sketchy look about my pieces. So I've attached a heap of those to some scrap that came off of the background. So remember I tore it down yesterday. So these have been glued on with my glue stick, like so, dried and cut out. So now I have fabric backed elements that we can use. So there's two little guys, that guy and that guy. So we've got 4 paper element mushrooms. We've got 3 fabric mushrooms. So now it really is finishing off my last of my papery, my fabric guys, building the composition, start layering in the moss or sugarcane mulch in my weld. Found a bit of that too. So I apologise for all the noise. The tradesmen are back again today. I've been at this for about an hour and a half, thinking I would have been filmed way before they arrive, but no. I've been dithering around thoroughly. I don't want to cut into that because that's something already. There's a scrappy bit here, just for consistency. Or is it too rigid of a line? Let's get rid of that and just fray it up somewhat. So this piece should now just come together. There we go. Last few little scrappy bits. So as for the top of my background, those pieces just need to be cut down to size and invisible stitched in. So when I finish the bottom of this little mushroom, see, when you're rushing, everything just becomes cack-handed. Got no need to rush. It'll all come together. A couple little stitches is all we need. What else have I got sitting to the side? This here is an ombrage toned piece of fabric with a bit of a shimmer. So this is the start of my glamorous floor. So I'm just going to knot this off. And then I'm just sign languaging to my husband here. Look at the floor at your feet, Gaz. I need a vacuum cleaner. I've spilt something. Don't walk on it. Just shut that door and I'll deal with it later. Gaz has turned up and I've made a mess on the floor. And he stood straight in it looking at me. And I was like giving him the look down, stop walking in the mess. Oh my goodness, don't make me laugh. I think I can trim this back. Don't want to use all of this doily. You never know when a half of a doily will come in handy. Look at all the mess. See, I have been a busy girl making red mushrooms. I've got red threads everywhere. So that's all lined up. So I had even tacked all this down because I thought, oh, I'll camphor stitch it. But then I thought, no, my camphor stitches will look too chunky and too angular, and I've got this dainty, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I literally have been fiddling around. So I just want to have that peek over like that. Where's my pins? Alrighty, pinned. Now I'll do the same with the other doily. Just need a little bit to come over. Some of the scrap from that doily could come into the ground. The forest floor, or in my case, the sugarcane mulch. That's too much doily. Okay, it's interesting. That's just overpowered the whole piece. Let's take it off. Let's work this way. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Just bear with me while I get myself sorted here. Probably could have done this before I turned on the camera, but it's all good. Okay, where's another pin? Let's see how that looks. Yeah. I'm really loving the crispness of the colour scheme I've got happening here. Now the stamped mushrooms, see these guys? We stamped them too. Still haven't got those in. I don't know if they're going to make it. That may have been what was balking me yesterday with the background. Oh, now I've got security cameras going off because Gaz is walking around the back. It's the one that's over with Fudgy. I need to turn it around so it doesn't trigger. Hang on, guys. I swear, doesn't everyone understand that the girl needs to stitch and they're all interfering with my creative flow? Isn't that funny? If I had to put the camera on 2 hours ago while everyone was still asleep or not here, I wouldn't have this problem now, but I had to make that extra big mushroom and it just took time. All right, so we've now got the top pinned. That will be stitched down. So I'll leave it. No, I'm going to need it for the ground because I feel like I can use some of this soft lace. Oh my goodness. Stop brushing. It's okay. I think because Gaz was a bit slow getting out of bed this morning, the plasterer has arrived. I went out just to open the gate and let him in and said g'day. And he's then gone, oh, I've thought about the roof of here and we can do this, but we need the timber and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh my goodness, Gaz, get out of bed. You can deal with this. And he says, oh, me mate, the builder, is in at Bunnings now. He can bring all the bits we need to do it. Are you happy to proceed? And I'm like, oh, don't ask me. So then I had to race back in, say, Gaz, you need to get up, have a shower, because the boys need some critical decisions made about some timber. So that, I think, is what lost me about 40 minutes when I would have had this filmed and be out of everyone's hair. But now it ain't the case. So we will survive. I think that's got it. That just needs to be made sure that it's, you know, neat. Stop fiddling. There we go. That'll just be invisible stitched down. We'll just want everything to sit flat. Now I've pricked my finger. That can't be good with white fabric. Oh my goodness. All right, so we've got it. We've got our background sorted. I might just, let's do a bit of stitching. I need to relax. I'm feeling racy. Is that going going to bleed? No. Let's get this edge here stitched. And then, because it won't take me long to figure out where these mushrooms are going to sit, it then won't take me long to build the base. And it'd be nice if these pins weren't in my way of the mushrooms. So winter berries. Got a few ideas there. But I have got to do leaves. I've got to do some birds. Oh my goodness, I'll tell you. I know I'll catch up, but you know, it's like not another prompt already. And considering there's 2 weeks between, that's crazy. Look how damaged that is. Well used little doily, this. Can't recall where it's come from. I think I did pick this up in an op shop for very little. Make great backgrounds. These cotton mass-produced little doilies. I'm just going to stitch it down because it's going to give me a moment just to relax and get the pins out of my way, because if I prick my finger and I'm working with white fabric, we got trouble. It's a really overcast day today, and we've had a shower of rain, and it's really making my overhead lights quite strong, hence why the shadow. Usually the room's is bathed in light, so my overhead lights, well, they're like a pendant hanging above the table. I get quite a contrast. So I do apologise that I'm casting a lot of shadows here. I guess to overcome it, I'd need to put some lights to the side of me all the way around to get a lot of light this, you know, coming in, so that my overhead lights are diffused through it. But it only happens, you know, occasionally. And it's just not worth having, you know, rigs of lights everywhere. We're not a professional setup. Just going to come another inch into that lace and whip around there. And then I can flatten it out and do that bottom edge. Don't rush, it's all good. Really enjoyed making these. Now I'm putting a knot where I don't want a knot. Oh my goodness, I think it's the coffee kicking in too. I was going to say, yeah, I really enjoyed making these mushrooms. Like I said, I think a few seconds ago, it's the pop of red and white. You can't beat it. I just love it. Feels a bit Christmassy too. I was watching Dawn's video. She's making Christmas cards, slow stitched Christmas cards, working on a poinsettia onto a wreath. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, Christmas cards already. It's that time of the year. Can't see me getting any hand-stitched Christmas cards done this year. Goodness. Wishful thinking. I'm thinking of speeding up my Just Because quilt too. I started the project with a block per month, and I find I get that block done reasonably quickly, and then the rest of the month I'm looking at it wanting to do more. So don't be surprised, forewarned, I might turn up with block number 4, which is technically December, at the end of November. Which is probably not a bad thing because there's so much going on at Christmas that I may not get much time anyway. And does it matter? No. We get our quilt completed quickly. I know there's a few ladies in our Facebook group that are powering along, and they're on to their, 4th and 5th block. And I can totally get it because the placing of the fabric is the pure joy of it all. The stitching is the let's sit down and just chill out, and there's joy in that as well. And then it's done. And it's like you've got a whole block done on your quilt. Incredible how quick it comes together. And then I start thinking about other combinations, other colours, future quilts, and it's like, well, it's going to take me all year just to get this Just Because. So it was either speed up Just Because or start another one with another theme. And I thought, well, that's then putting a bit of pressure on because you're now doing 2 Just Because quilts. How about you just get the first one completed, but maybe speed it up a little bit? So that's what I'm thinking about. Says the girl who's behind on her Roxy projects, but that's okay. They'll come together. Okay, so I might just do a quick stitch across here. I don't need to be too fussy. Where's that pin? I don't need to be too fussy with this softer crocheted doily because the mushrooms aren't going to get up there. They're lower because I don't want to cover that. So the big guys will be all over here, I feel. And something smaller over there. I don't know. So I feel like I can probably just whip across here pretty quick. This has certainly saved me some time. If I was to camphor stitch the back, oh, even the knots aren't staying in, the tricky knots. If I was to camphor stitch the back of this piece, that would have been another day's work. So I think this solution of bringing in some more dainty elements to create my background is not a bad thing. Certainly not a crisp little doily, this one. It looks like it's seen a bit of age. They're good when you find the dainty ones, the soft. Okay, so let's go through and try and catch the back as well. Doesn't have to be too tight of an edge because that'll soften that top edge there. Yeah, I love this pin cushion that Marianne got me from Scotland. Love to know what's inside there. It's quite dense and the pins just slide in beautifully. And I thought, what a great collecting thing. You're going on a holiday and you're looking for a souvenir. So you get a pin cushion from where you go. Ow! Don't. Oh, that went deep. There's thunder. Oh my goodness. That's because I'm not focused on what I'm doing. Sidetracked by pincushion. Yeah, I like how it's got a bit of structure to it. Oh, that needle went 2/8 of an inch down my thumbnail. That was really pleasant. Oh, I'm determined to hurt myself using white fabric. If that happens, we're going to have to pause the video, give up, come back when I feel a little bit more relaxed. Goodness me. It's my beading needle, that's why. It's a cousin of Reg. And we all know what trouble he was for me. Maybe I need to name this needle. Regina. No. Okay. Got a little bit of thread left. I might just continue along that top edge. Okay, that's it. Now, buried pin, of course we do. Come out of there, you. We picked up more scrappy bits. I think I can remove you and you. Right, danger, danger. Should have just finished that edge. I might as well. Like, they're trouble. We already know I'm on fine form for a pin prick. I'll thread the needle up anyway because we'll need it to build our mossy forest floor, aka sugarcane moss in Corrine's front garden bed. I saw a little toadstool the other day too pop up. It was fairly early in the morning and just happened to glance down at where I was standing on the edge of the concrete, and in the sugarcane mulch was these two little toadstools. They were a real soft dove grey. And I thought, oh, look at you. There are little toadstools around. You sort of don't notice these things at times. And then I sort of forgot about it for about an hour. Fed the hounds, fed the cat, and got myself a coffee, and I was sitting there catching up on a video. And I was like, oh, I must go and get a photo of those two little toadstools. Probably maybe an hour and a half had gone by, so the sun now is really up and the heat's starting to come. And I went out to where they were and I couldn't see them. So I had a good look, and then I just happened to notice these little stalks that look shriveled, and I think that must be them. So they literally only lasted an hour, hour and a half. So as soon as the heat of the day has come, they've just shriveled up, which I thought was quite amazing. So I didn't get a photo. They were pretty little things. They'd only, you know, one was about that big, one was about that big. And they had that that shape about them, a little bit lacy on the edge, but very thin stalks. So I was like, there you go. I have a toadstools in my garden. That sugarcane mulch should probably be perfect for it. All right. Let's work on our composition and decide finally if those printed ones are going to make it. All right, so we've got a big guy. I'm thinking the big guy needs to be right up into there. A bit of a kink on him. Then we got a medium guy. Maybe move him over and bring him into there, slightly below him. I don't know. Let's see how we go. And then I got a little guy. Maybe we just do a little feature of him over here. Then we've got these guys. So I'm thinking they can join in. Maybe he can be behind. Yeah, I like that. Oh, gee, that looks good. I just looked up at the camera. If I do say so. I've got two little fellas left. So we could do a little cluster over here, like that. Yep, that's it. Now, the mossy ground and these guys. I wish I had have kept them separate. I wonder if I can separate them. Well, I'm just going to try something, but they need to be separated. I just don't have the room for the combination of two. So let's get them away from each other. Let's fussy cut out this guy, but we need to rough him up a bit. I don't want a sharp edge. I want him to look a little frayed. So this is the sketchbook thing happening. This is sitting there in the garden sketching what you think a toadstool might look like. The field note side of things. But we need to make it look tatty. Is that possible with really dense? Yeah, I think it is. Dense cotton. Yep, that's looking good. I want it looking frayed, so it's not a crisp. That's it. Oh, my thumb is sore. Now I'm going to have a sore thumb. Oh my goodness me. It's a good start to the day. Okay. So can I get him in the background somehow? Don't like that. I don't know. Let's cut this guy out. I'm not giving up on him yet. They sort of feel like they're their own thing. But we'll see. Could be just a size. The other thing is maybe the little ones are better. Yesterday at one point I was thinking I'd be stitching them. I could just see the stalk there all stitched, follow the lines and stitched all in. But yeah, that idea went out the door overnight, it would seem. All right, so let's just rough you up a bit so you don't look like you're just fresh off of a piece of fabric that's been stamped. If I was to stitch him in, I'd leave the edges all exposed, like don't over stitch. I don't want to cover all of that, but I do like it. It's like the little toadstools that... I'm going to think about them. They do look like they're not meant to be there, but the field note concept is lots of different little elements coming together, like a sketchbook. So they sort of feel like they do work in that concept. I don't know, these might be too small. Let's nibble out. Maybe if I've got a couple of these elsewhere, it might make more sense. I don't know. Certainly saves sketching them in because I've got that sketchy look happening. All right, rough is all up. See, it makes sense when you bring them over here as well. Look, I'm not going to rule it out actually. I don't mind it. All right, what we're going to do now is, I think, take all this off and get a bit of a band of something going across the bottom. I'll leave them in that order. And we need to work on this. So we've got a bit of this here. And I'm thinking we just cut a chunk off. Is it going to tear? This is my background. I need bigger scissors. Oh my goodness me. Dressmaking scissors are coming out. Bit of height to it. All right, this gets our background in, and that's all going to be squished up to create a subtle little shimmer everywhere. The start of our mossy floor. Does that make sense? So let's just lay it there for now. Now we need stuff to go on top of it. Bit of that. This little guy is certainly, no, bit of this, I think. This is also on the mushroom, so it sort of gives us a little bit of synergy. And then as that's all ruched in and stitched and nice and messy, I'd put a heap of pins there, but you know what'll happen as I got a bit of lace here. My sugarcane mulch is looking very sugarcane mulchish. Where's that cheesecloth too? All of that'll just come down as I stitch. I need a bit of this. Actually, this was also on my radar, a bit of this stuff. Just to get a little bit of white coming through. It's a bit of a linear line there, don't like that. Let's get a bit of this now coming through Always need a little bit of crocheting. Now that was the doily that we trimmed. Remember I said I felt like it could certainly be in amongst it all. It's just about building up all the different layers, keeping an eye on your colours to make sure they're sort of drifting. And then once I sort of get a little bit of it down, we'll bring those mushrooms back in, double check the placement is okay. All of this then can come up to the front a little bit, so it's all starting to capture it, this bottom bit. This all tucked down. Right, I think that's a good start. I can always find more, you know, bits and pieces to put layers in. I like those sort of bits. So let's get our mushrooms back down into play. You were up there, I think. So I feel like I need something white underneath you to make you look like you're seen. So maybe I've got to bring that more into there. That then uses this lace here because it's so pretty. I don't want to hide the fact that that lace is not visible. Don't want to hide the fact that the lace is not visible. That doesn't even make sense. Where's that going? Let's get rid of that. Let's put that there. So we've got a lump of white land for him to be growing out of. Then we'll bring that lace through. All right, there was another mushroom. He can come out of there. And then if that's squished up a little bit when stitched to soften it, that sort of would make sense. I might pop a pin in there. I'm happy with that corner and those elements and his placement. The thing is to remember to tuck and pleat and as you go too. So it keeps a bit of movement. I can always trim that off. All right, so there's that guy. Let's have a look at this fellow. How's he going to work? Yeah, that works for me. And then maybe that comes more down to the foreground. I liked when it was tucked in behind. I sort of felt like it wasn't as prominent then. It was a little fella in behind. Yeah, like that. Bring that up there, pin it. And then maybe this could be split open and twist it a bit there. The paper-backed mushrooms, those guys, I'll use a really sharp needle and just do some little stitches into them to hold them. So I can see his base. I believe he is now in position. And so is he. Now, we're coming along here. All of that will come down and be a lot softer, so we'll just leave it for now. We'll bring this across and down. Just going to sit him in there. I sort of like the quirkiness of it. I really do. And it's like a little detail that you don't notice until you look. But then maybe this side is more about them. So we might bring that down now so that I can see that embroidery, because I don't want to lose it. Bring that up too. That into the back there. And that into there. Okay, bit of background positioning. Now let's have a look at these little fellows. We're going to be in there. Yeah, I like that. Feels like they're up on a ridge. And then there was this little guy that I was going to tuck in here. And then that little guy was on his own. All right, let's get a pin in there. And a pin in you. Okay. It looks very overexposed in the camera for you guys. I do apologise for that. It's not the sharpest looking image. I'm just going to get a pin through you. Okay. Now, let's make a decision about these guys. I don't know, I do like it. It's like I'm being a bit quirky. I'm taking it from just being an elegant piece to being a bit playful. I do like it. Where else would I put him? He sort of works with his mate. Where's the center of the page? Let's get that established. Is it all going to sit? Yep. Double check. Yep, we're fine. So if he went more, I sort of feel like he needs to be over that way. Maybe he's got to be in the back here and coming out the top there. Blend him in a little bit more. Yeah, I like that. Not so together. I'm going to do it, guys. I'm going to put him in. I was nervous about it and I thought, you know, it's not quite, but it's field notes where it's different. If you hadn't have noticed, it's a different type of, I am covering that flower. Just moving my fraction so we can still see that little flower. And then this little guy, he will go over here in amongst there as a little Where's Wally? I guess what I'll do is let it sit. Here comes another tradesman. It's about to get real noisy. I feel like I could do with a little bit more. What about this piece? Look at that in the center of that doily. Let's just take it out and see if we can use it. I love these little doilies. They are the gift that keep giving. If that went down into there, no. Yeah, no. Thought it was something. I sort of feel like I need a little bit more of that classic doily. What's in my bucket? I've got some little flowers. They're a bit of a go-to for me. Who's here? Gee, if that doesn't look like a plant. Yeah, I like that. Let's give that a try. Maybe it's more plant-like. Is what I need. Yeah, and I think it'll help soften. I'm going to tuck you in behind that organza, and I'm going to bring you across the front of it. Look more like a forest floor when you get a few more plant-like shapes, I think. And I probably won't stitch you down too much because I like your movement. That can tuck down into there. That feels a bit more like a bit of grass. Let's turn that and turn that. Maybe leave them twisted. Yeah, I might. It's wanting to twist, so let it twist. Yeah, makes it look more whimsical. So I've got a bit of a gap here. Maybe that will fit now in there. Yeah, it does. Just needed something to break it up. That's the fold too, so I've got to be a little bit mindful of bulkiness in the center there, but we can certainly do a bit of a lacy cluster across this bottom edge. Lots of pins happening here. There we go. I do believe we have a plan and we got our stamped elements in. I like it. I really do. I've got a little bit more of this I can bring across the front. Let's just slither that down a bit. We're going to get some words in here too somewhere, don't we? Oh my goodness, so many elements that we need to cram in. Okay, let's get a couple pins in you. And then we'll bring that across there. That softens that edge. All right, well, I'm going to call it a day. Gaz is standing at the door looking at me. Oh no, he's getting his fudgy. Gaz and Fudgy must be up to something. I'll just tuck that into there. There's a pin at the back. I think I can bring you forward, son, and you can go there. All right, I'll bring that up to the camera so you can see a little clearer the texture that's along that bottom. There we go. Those mushrooms look like they're bursting out of a heap of sugarcane mulch, don't they? It's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Stitch all this down and we're going to call that page completed. Unless I think of something else, I'll put maybe some beads and stones and rocks and you know how it goes. And next time you see it, it'll be in the journal and we can then start another page. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Have a great weekend. Bye.